Miracle on the Pacific, a Canadian baseball story. Episode 1, Making Waves.
Extra innings here, tied at 3. Higgins on first after a leadoff single. Liam Brooks stepping in, 0 for 4 tonight.
But don't let that fool you, Jack. He's been barreling balls all week.
Before a ball ever touched the grass at Pacifica Field, there was a dream. A dream that one of the rainiest places in North America could become a baseball city.
And that's hammered to deep right, to the track. Gone! Brooks walks it off.
A dream that a city with no big league baseball history could step onto the sport's biggest stage and in one season shock the world.
On behalf of Major League Baseball, please welcome the Vancouver Orcas.
In the mid-2020s, Major League Baseball added their 31st and 32nd teams, the Nashville Sonics and the Vancouver Orcas. It would be the first league expansion in nearly 30 years. In Tennessee, the decision was met with wide acclaim. But north of the U.S. border, the reaction was mixed.
We already have baseball. The Canadians play right downtown.
Like, wow, you waited over 25 years to expand the league and you put a team in Vancouver?
Would baseball catch on in Van City, or it be remembered as an experiment gone as quickly as it arrived?
Line drive into left center. That's gonna drop for a base hit. Higgins rounds first and slams the brakes, thinking about 2. He's on for the 4th time tonight.
From the PNE Fairgrounds in East Vancouver, this is Miracle on the Pacific. It began not in a boardroom, but at an independent coffee shop in Gastown. It was here that Chip Wheaton, Canadian tech investor, billionaire, and complete baseball fanatic, sat at the corner table staring at a napkin.
I'd written out all the AL West division, Mariners, Rangers, Angels, Astros, Athletics, and then I threw in Vancouver. Looked at it for a second and thought, yeah, that works. I've always been a baseball fan. My dad would take me down to Seattle for a couple of games like every summer. 3-hour drive, border lineups, nosebleed seats. And every time I'd wonder why we didn't have this closer to home. People told me this was impossible. Said the city's too small, the weather's too wet. The little voice in my head just kept saying, do it, just do it.
After almost 30 years, Major League Baseball is growing once again. Commissioner Rob Manfred announced today that the league will welcome 2 new expansion franchises, the Nashville Sonics and the Vancouver Orcas, beginning play in the upcoming season.
Here's what I don't think people realize. I put my name on the line, my reputation, my legacy, and most of my fortune. If this failed, I was the guy who tried to make Vancouver a baseball city. But more than that, I'd be the guy who killed the MLB expansion. So I knew the risk, but I welcomed it, because if we pulled it off, it would be a moment for the city, for the country, for me, for everyone.
Stateside, the idea was mocked.
All right, folks, strap in for this doozy. I swear MLB head office is drunk, or high, or both, because somebody actually thought putting a Major League Baseball team in Vancouver was a good idea. Vancouver? Like, wow, you waited over 25 years to expand the league and you put a team in Vancouver? Canadian fans are polite. Too polite. Your crowd numbers will be all over the place because you'll have people leaving in the 7th to make their hot yoga class. Then there's the geography. Vancouver is tucked into the far northwest corner of the map. What's nearby? Mountains, bears, a couple salmon. You know what's not nearby? MLB teams. The Mariners are the closest, and they're 3 hours and an international border away. When you look at the economics of it all, it's just plain simple. Vancouver is ridiculously expensive, one of the most unaffordable cities on earth. You think working class fans are dropping $80 on cheap tickets and $15 on tall cans? And don't forget, baseball is America's pastime, not Canada's. Canada has hockey. In Canada, hockey is religion, and baseball's just a side hustle. So yeah, Vancouver in the MLB, stupid! Way to go, Commissioner. You've outdone yourself again.
In Rain City, the reaction was mixed.
We already have baseball. The Canadians play right downtown. What, they're not good enough now?
Yeah, this just feels like they're stepping on the Canadians' toes. That's our team. They've been here forever.
Baseball in Vancouver? I think it's great.
I think it would be cool to have another team in Canada, because I go to games in Seattle all the time and it's fun to go watch the Blue Jays, but there's just nothing really that close to us. So yeah, it'd be cool.
Look, I'm skeptical, but I want this to work. And if Chip Wheaton is willing to put his whole fortune into this instead of AI or spaceships, that tells me something.
I have to be honest, I never thought I'd see the day.
Baseball? In Vancouver? Count me in.
Okay, but seriously, this is the worst, stupidest idea I've ever heard.
Listen, I'm all in for an MLB team, but maybe we should take care of the Whitecaps first.
We've already got the Canadians, and now we're supposed to, explain to people that we've got 2 teams? Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that.
The Canadians they refer to are the Vancouver Canadians, the High A affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays, part of baseball's minor league system. In the baseball hierarchy, High A is 3 steps below the major leagues, and for Vancouver fans, the Canadians had been the team in town for decades. Bringing in a major league franchise didn't replace them, but it did mean the city now had 2 different teams in 2 different leagues wearing 2 very different uniforms. Love it or loathe it, Vancouver had been put on the big league map, and the conversation and volume was only getting louder. But before any games could be played, there had to be a name. In the end, it came from the waters that define Vancouver. The orca, a predator, a protector, a symbol of power, community, and the cold Pacific waters surrounding the city. Casey Yates, a former college infielder turned color commentator, remembers being one of the first to see the final logo.
It just fit. It felt like Vancouver. And it wasn't trying too hard, You could slap that on a Little League cap or a pro jersey, and it looked good either way.
Jack Carver, the team's inaugural play-by-play voice, recalls the moment too.
There's something about that word, orca. It's clean, bold, and it's ours. You can't mistake it for anywhere else.
Morgan James, a BC-based graphic designer, was brought in to shape the team's visual identity and face the challenge of turning a killer whale into a killer logo.
The first sketches were way too cartoonish. It looked like a cereal box mascot. When I locked in on what is now the logo, it just clicked.
GM Ryan Adler.
Branding is oxygen for a new franchise. If fans didn't buy it, we were fighting irrelevance. A bad rollout, and it could have been dead on arrival.
Within 48 hours, the first run of Orcas merchandise sold out. Hats, hoodies, jerseys, gone. The team store had a lineup down the block.
We thought we had enough stock for a month. We even had to pull all the display items off the mannequins. It's been crazy.
I bought a hat. It's awesome. I bought 2. One for my dad and one for me. He's so stoked we have a team.
Love the royal blue jerseys. But honestly, the teal ones are pretty great too. Also, my bank account is drained.
But the name wasn't just a marketing play. It was a deliberate nod to what the franchise wanted to stand for. Chip Wheaton understood the symbolism behind the choice.
Orcas don't hunt alone. They work as a unit. They adapt. That's exactly the identity we wanted for this team. We weren't going to have the biggest payroll, but we'd be smart. We'd stick together, and we'd make people respect us. You know, this name gives you swagger. We're not the Dolphins. We're not some harmless mascot. We're the apex predator in these waters.
The name and logo gave the Vancouver Orcas an identity, but an identity needs a home. That home would rise in the heart of East Vancouver at the historic PNE Fairgrounds. GM Ryan Adler knew the ballpark would be a destination.
There were pitches for a spot on the Fraser River, one on the old industrial waterfront, but we wanted central, accessible. If you're building a team for the whole city, you don't hide it in the corner of town.
The PNE Fairgrounds, home to the Pacific National Exhibition since 1910. Hastings Park was already a place where Vancouver came together.
You've got the gardens, the old Coliseum, the fairgrounds. People already had memories here. We wanted to add new ones.
Turning that location into a modern Major League ballpark fell to architect Maria Powell, a Victoria native with a reputation for merging West Coast style with sustainable innovation.
Our aim for Pacifica Field was to build something really unique. We didn't want a generic stadium that you could find anywhere else in North America. We wanted a landmark, not an eyesore.
Powell and her team drew inspiration from the mountains, the ocean, and the city skyline.
We used sustainable BC lumber for the main concourse beams, so when you walk in, you smell the West Coast. The roof line was designed to echo the silhouette of the North Shore Mountains.
Then there was the rain. Vancouver sees over 150 wet days a year, and in baseball, that's a season killer if you're not prepared.
Well, it's the Pacific Northwest. You can't hide from the weather. The retractable roof was a must. We designed transparent panels, so even when it's closed, you can see the clouds, the rain, even the stars on a clear night. Open or closed, it's the best of both worlds for the broadcast. Trust me, I heard from Casey Yates and Jack Carver.
Selfishly, I was glad. I've called games in the cold and the rain. Give me a roof I can trust, and I'm a happy man.
I just like that the roof opens fast. You can go from a rain delay to first pitch in minutes. Fans love that.
Pacifica Field was built to be an experience. Vancouver-based chef Daniel Roscoe was up to the challenge.
We've built a food program inspired by everything Vancouver. You can get sushi from a chef who runs a shop in Kits. We got local salmon burgers, we have poutine with local cheese curds, and of course a fine selection of taps from BC breweries.
Even the seating layout was built for connection. Luxury boxes with balcony views. Open concourses so fans could still watch the game while grabbing a bite. And family zones that made kids part of the day.
We made sure there was a place where parents could relax, where kids could play without blocking someone's view. If a 7-year-old leaves here happy, they're coming back for years.
For Chip Wheaton, Pacifica Field was proof that he meant business.
I didn't want anyone thinking this was a placeholder. This is permanent. This is world class. You walk in here and you know that the Orcas are here to stay. You bet your fortune and your name on making Vancouver a baseball city. You give it the best home you can.
And the details didn't go unnoticed. Jack Carver and Casey Yates reflect on the emotions of the first visit to their new workplace.
The first time I walked in, I saw the mountain view over center field. And yeah, I got a little choked up. It felt like home.
I did cry. Full-on tears. It was a beautiful thing.
As the beams rose above Hastings Park, Pacifica Field became a construction site with a promise.
Every day we drove past it, you could feel the anticipation building. The city was watching, literally. People were stopping to take pictures. This was important to folks.
And when the gates finally opened, it would be the beating heart of a brand new franchise. The city had its name. It had its home. Next, it would need a team. Every new team has to start somewhere. For the Orcas, it started in a closed-off conference room in Midtown Manhattan, the day of the Major League Baseball expansion draft. Ryan Adler called it a game of scraps.
You're looking at other teams who've locked away their best guys. Every name has a story and every pick is a gamble. It's like chess, except you don't know if your pieces still work.
Sarah Watkins, the national baseball analyst, has been following the game her whole life. To her, the expansion draft is as much about nerve as it is about talent.
Okay, so for anyone who's not fluent in baseball front office lingo, here's how the MLB expansion draft works. When new teams like the Nashville Sonics and the Vancouver Orcas join the league, they have to build a roster from scratch. And the draft is that first big step. Every existing team gets to protect a set number of players, usually their stars and young prospects. Everyone else, fair game. Now, that doesn't mean you're picking from a pile of all-stars. Most of the guys available are role players, veterans with big contracts, or prospects who haven't quite panned out yet. But if your GM's smart, you can find hidden games. The catch is, you can only take one player from each team, and once you grab someone, that club is off your board. It's part strategy, part poker, and part scavenger hunt. In Vancouver's case, Ryan Adler played it like a grandmaster.
On a Wednesday afternoon in November, Adler sat with his scouting staff, analytics department, and a phone line to Chip Wheaton. Every choice was debated. Every name was tested against the long-term plan.
You can't get romantic about it. Sure, there were players I liked, but if they didn't fit our roster math, they were out. Expansion drafts are about discipline. Sometimes you have to pass on the guy you want for the guy you need.
A key name circled on Adler's board was Cameron Mercer, a 39-year-old right-hander with more than a decade in the MLB.
Mercer wasn't going to blow hitters away anymore, but he brought something we desperately needed: dependability. 200 innings, steady presence, and he knew how to handle the grind. For a rotation that was going to be full of question marks, he was a stabilizer.
Cameron Mercer doesn't romanticize much, but he does know exactly why he chose Vancouver.
Look, I knew what I was at that point in my career. I wasn't chasing Cy Youngs, I was chasing outs. And I liked the idea of being part of something new. Teaching young arms how to survive the travel, the slumps, all of it. In Vancouver, it felt like a place where I could leave more than stats behind.
With Mercer, Vancouver had its anchor on the mound, an older arm to show the younger ones how to last a season. One of the last names on Adler's board was Akito Yamamura, a 36-year-old first baseman from Tokyo, Japan.
Akito's the guy you bring in when your clubhouse has no history. He's played in October. He knows how to keep young players from spiraling. And yeah, he can hit. 18 homers the year before we got him. That mattered.
When Vancouver called, I didn't think about the weather or the trouble. I thought, all right, one more round. Let's help build a winning team.
The pick, however, that made headlines wasn't a grizzled vet or a mystery arm. It was a left-handed rookie catcher from Burnaby, British Columbia. There have been very few left-handed catchers in Major League Baseball history. Only a handful have played the position in the modern era, and the last was Benny DiStefano of the Pittsburgh Pirates, who caught just 3 games in 1989. Ask 10 historians and you'll get 10 answers, but most agree fewer than 30 have ever done it. It's an oddity in the sport, a quirk of handedness and tradition. And now in Vancouver, 19-year-old Liam Brooks was about to join that rare club.
There's no rule against left-handed catchers. It's just that the game evolved in a way that makes it almost impossible. Most hitters are right-handed, which means a lefty catcher's throwing arm is on the wrong side to make a quick, clean throw to third. Then you've got the way breaking balls move. A lot of pitches tail away from a lefty glove, making them tougher to frame. Add in decades of coaches saying, "We don't do it that way," and you've basically trained generations of left-handed kids to play first base or the outfield instead. So when a left-handed catcher makes it to the big leagues, it's defying a century of baseball habits.
I'll be honest. Liam Brooks was a risk. But a left-handed catcher with arm strength like his, you grab him and you don't look back.
First time I saw him throw out a guy at second in spring training, we clocked it at 1.87 seconds from glove to tag. I turned to Casey and said, "That's a teenager?"
Expansion drafts are about setting the stage for 3, 4, 5 years down the road. But with the Orcas, you could tell they were picking guys who could surprise people right away.
By the end of the day, Vancouver had its 35 names. Veterans to lead, prospects to grow, wildcards who might just turn into stars.
We walked out of there knowing we weren't done. Free agency, trades, those would fill the gaps. But the bones of the team were there.
The chessboard was set. The pieces were in place. Now, the Orcas would have to see if they could play the game. In 2008, at Wukesong Baseball Field in Beijing, Justin George stood on the top step of the podium, Canada across his chest, gold medal around his neck.
Canada, gold medal in baseball. Justin George with the game-winning RBI.
The moment in Beijing cemented him in Canadian sports history, but it didn't guarantee him a career in the big leagues. Born and raised in New Westminster, British Columbia to Dolores and James George, Justin grew up with baseball being the family language. Many summer nights spent at Queen's Park and early mornings hitting off a tee in the backyard before school. It wasn't a guaranteed future, however, but a dream that Justin George chased between ferry rides and long bus trips up and down the Lower Mainland. He wasn't the biggest or loudest player around. He listened and watched and learned. And somewhere along the way, coaches noticed that when things got tense, Justin steadied the room.
I played a few seasons in the minors, got a September call-up once, but I knew early on managing was probably going to be my lane. I liked leading.
When the Orcas started their search for a manager, George's name came up fast. Too fast for some. Ryan Adler.
Justin was on our short list from the beginning. He had the local ties, he understood the culture here, and he could connect with players. But yeah, we heard it from the league.
This happens with expansion teams sometimes. You get a hire that's part of baseball strategy and part marketing. Let's be honest here, putting a hometown Olympic hero in the dugout sells tickets. The million-dollar question was, could he manage?
The reaction to George's hire was split.
Justin George, are you kidding me? Perfect.
Don't get me wrong, I like the guy, but managing in the majors, I don't know. If nothing else, he knows what winning feels like.
I met Justin at his introductory presser. He's got that easy smile, shakes your hand like you're already old friends. But underneath, you can tell he's measuring everything.
I think the first thing he said to me was, "You better call my games fair." And I said, "Only if you give me something worth calling."
Behind the jokes and the optics, George knew exactly how the hire looked.
I wasn't naive. I knew some people saw a symbol before they saw a manager. Honestly, I was more worried about disappointing the players than the fans.
Look, it's impossible to separate the PR side from the baseball side. He was the perfect face for an expansion team in Vancouver. But winning in the majors doesn't care about the perfect face. It's about lineups, bullpen management, and dealing with 162 games of grind.
Even George knew the challenge in front of him.
I told Chip and Ryan, if you want someone who will work every day to make this team better, and who will take the heat when it doesn't work, then I'm in.
First thing I thought, this is either going to be a masterstroke or the shortest managerial tenure in baseball history.
The decision was made, the contract was signed, and just like that, the Orcas had their skipper. Next, George would get his first look at his players in the heat of spring training. It was a roster unlike any other in baseball. 30 expansion draft picks, a few free agents willing to take a chance, a couple of top prospects, a mix of cast-offs and long shots. If you wanted order, you didn't look in the Orcas clubhouse.
You put that many guys together who've been told you're expendable? Yeah, you're going to get some edge.
In the first week, 2 guys nearly came to blows over locker placements. It was stupid.
There were the personalities. There was Quade Morrison, a third baseman with the reflexes of a cat and the self-confidence of a pit bull.
Yeah, I talk a lot. I'm not quiet, Quade. You want quiet? Go read. Go meditate. I'm loud.
Clayton Cooper, a switch-hitting left fielder known for long home runs and longer post-game interviews.
I like talking. Baseball's supposed to be fun. If you can't enjoy it, why do it? And you know, sometimes people think I talk too much, but it's important for fans to really understand what's going on in the clubhouse. Like, back in AA, we had this rain delay. Well, I guess it wasn't really a rain delay, it was more just a drizzle, but the grounds crew overreacted because they thought a storm was coming in. So we're all stuck in the clubhouse, and our shortstop Marty decides he's gonna start grilling burgers, and I'm like, what the heck? Where did this BBQ even come from? And Marty's over there flipping them, and everybody's getting so hungry because they're smelling it. And
Kirk Higgins, a power-hitting right fielder from Eugene, Oregon, whose pregame routine includes 2 hot dogs and a can of Dr. Pepper.
I mean, it's worked since high school, so why mess with success, you know?
All eyes, though, kept coming back to the 19-year-old catcher from Burnaby.
Kid's a Jedi or something. Doesn't care who's on the mound. He's locked in.
First ball I threw to Brooks, I'm thinking, all right, rookie catcher, I'll have to tell him what I'm doing. Nah, he's calling pitches I didn't even think of. Then I'm watching him throw down to second. Yeah, we all noticed.
This is the kind of group you either love managing or lose your mind with. They've all got chips on their shoulders, but they also know nobody expects us to win. That's a dangerous combination.
We wanted talent, but we also wanted a certain personality. Guys who wouldn't fold in July when we're in Houston and it's 102 degrees, or when we're 3,000 miles from home on a 10-game road trip. You find out quick who's built for it.
Spring training had only just begun, and already the Orcas clubhouse was a story in itself. In February, the Vancouver Orcas reported to their first ever spring training in Surprise, Arizona. The sun was warm, the air was dry, and the optimism was loud. But optimism fades fast when the drills start.
We blew 3 cutoff plays in the first 15 minutes of live defense.
Kirk Higgins misread 2 fly balls in center. Cameron Mercer spiked his first 3 breaking balls in the dirt. And Quade Morrison overthrew first base twice.
The wind was weird, and the sun, and I just got off the phone with my dad, okay? I was keeping Nikita on his toes.
By the end of day 3, George had seen enough.
Listen up! I don't care if you were an all-star or a waiver claim. We're all 0-0 right now. Nobody in this room has earned a f***ing thing yet. You want to be part of this? Earn it. Every day. Or I'll find somebody who will.
Even with the progress, the mistakes kept coming. In a split-squad scrimmage against the Kansas City Royals, the Orcas ran into 3 outs on the bases in the same inning. But here and there, the puzzle pieces started to fit. Brooks throwing out a runner at second, Whitmore freezing a batter with a curveball.
You hang on to those moments. You build on them. You show the guys, this is what it looks like when we do it right.
By the final week of camp, the roster was taking shape. Cuts were made, roles were clearer. The clubhouse, still loud and unpredictable, had started to pull in the same direction.
The goal wasn't to win spring training. It was to leave Arizona with guys who could stand the grind together. I think we got there.
The Vancouver Orcas left spring training still unproven and still figuring out who they were. But opening day was coming, and Van City was ready to find out. Next time, the dream meets reality. The first game in franchise history, the birth of a rivalry, and the roughest start anyone could have imagined. That's in episode 2 of Miracle on the Pacific.